Okay, so we've talked about most of the other components of this project, so let's jump into the scripts directory. So in scripts, again, just like data, let's just go through one by one and I'll hit the important parts of it. So if we look at the database, this has all the database scripts that we use to create one, drop the database, create users, etc. So if we want to list our tables, we can do that. We can see, oh, we have all these models that were created when we migrated the Django database. Can list our databases. And there's a bunch of different databases. This is just on my system, so they're not all of the OpenAg brain. Just a lot of other junk that you guys probably don't care about. And then there's migrating the database, and this is just running the Python migrate, manage.py migrate function, making sure that the virtual environments are activated and we can find the project root, etc. The other one that's useful is to drop the state table. Sometimes this is good when you're developing, just to clear out all the state and restart fresh if you did something wonky. Especially useful when you're building right between the device side and the app side, kind of right at that intersection. So remember that you have this feature in there. The next one is Debian. These are all of the packages or the scripts that we use to build a Debian package. The current method that we use to deploy this is via a Debian package. However, I imagine the future will move to more of a container-based solution using something like Mender or Balena. Again, both of those are quite good and offer some really nice advantages, being able to roll back different package updates. Also, they're unbrickable, so because they are complete containers, they don't have the option to brick. Well, I guess if they do brick, you can roll them back to the previous version that did not brick, which really is quite a good feature. And also you get a lot of, I guess, fleet management interfacing that you don't have to build yourself. So I imagine we'll move somewhere in that direction in the future. Moving to the I2C module, this really is just really convenient scripts for setting the mux and scanning the channels. So depending on whether you're using a USB to I2C module or you have I2C on your device, that dictates which one you should use. Because I'm using the USB to I2C dongle, I'm going to use the Python scripts. So let me just scan my port. I'm going to have to activate my virtual environment. And you see it gets all the information about my device. So once I scan it, give it a second. These X's indicate what devices are connected where, so I know I'm connected to the air sensor node on my PFC3. The SHT25 is at port 40, the T6713 is at port 15, and then at port 77 is our multiplexer, so this should always be seen even after you change the channel. And then we can set the mux, say to channel 3, and scan again. And this time we see we are connected to, I guess, what, 04C and 47, we're connected to the light panel. One interesting note on the light panel is that there's a broadcast address and there's an individual address. So you can chain multiple light panels together and address them individually or broadcast to the entire thing. And if you look in the light driver, you'll see that reflected there. Jumping out of I2C, we can go back to install. I've already talked at length about what all of these different files are doing, so I am not going to talk any more about them. If you missed the getting started video, go back to that one and you'll hear what all of these different scripts do. In IoT, this will get the settings. This just exports all the IoT settings, checks if we've been registered or if we're verified yet, and exports that as an environment variable. This one creates the one-time key for when we're registering the device, and this is just a test script that you probably don't care too much about unless you're working on the IoT and extending that function. Moving to the network, there are a lot of network scripts, mainly to join Wi-Fi, get Wi-Fi SSIDs, get network settings, enable or disable access points, geez, what else? Set persistent remote access, restart network connections, etc. Yeah, really the best thing to do with these is just to dig into them individually and play with them in an isolated system. So if you're on a BeagleBone, play with the BeagleBone scripts, or Raspberry Pi, play with the Raspberry Pi scripts, and just see how they work. Then there's platforms. So each time we source our environment, we are calling this get platform info script. I guess this one's interesting enough to open. What this is doing, it's setting all the defaults, and it's looking to check what type of platform we're running. So if we're on a BeagleBone, we know there's going to be a dog tag in the /etc. It's going to contain information about our BeagleBone. We can look at whether it's wired or wireless, and as we add new devices to say support something like a Dragon board or Orange Pi or whatever device that you want to add, this is where supporting that platform will go. Don't think there's too much more. Yeah, it just displays the message, and that's about the end of that script. And then there's recipe. This is a good example of how the current recipe format can fall a little bit short of all of the use cases I've encountered so far. So in this particular case, we wanted to create a light ramp to stage the light intensity level up over the course of a few hours and increase it every 15 minutes. I didn't want to write that recipe by hand to do that, so I just made a little script to generate the recipe and generate those light ramps. Again, maybe in the future, and maybe the version 2 of the format, it can support light ramps, and I don't have to create a script to do this. If I were to do it again, I would probably use a JSON, which is a new toy I discovered pretty recently, where it's basically just like JSON, but you can run functions in there, and that might be a nice way to keep everything that's recipe oriented in the closest proximity to JSON land. So aside from that, that's all that I have to say about scripting. Really, just with these scripts, the best thing to do is go and play with them and prove it for yourself that they work, and that's all. So that's where I will end this video.